1 minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
To infinity and beyond.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show. Here's your host, Zach Gelb.
Live from the palatial yet not overly ostentatious studios of the Infinity Sports Network, this is a Tuesday edition of the Zach Gelb Show across all of our great local Infinity Sports Network affiliates, Sirius XM, Channel 158, the free Odyssey app, and of course streaming live on YouTube. 855-212-4227 is the number to jump on in, 855-212-4227. You could always get at me on Instagram, where I'm straight flexing, or via the good old cesspool of Twitter, at Zach Gelb. That's ZACHGELB. We got a whole lot to do today, and coming up in about 40 minutes, Dan Mullen, the former college football coach, now does a great job as a college football analyst for ESPN. He's going to stop by. We're going to get you set, preview some of the players that will hear their name called in 2 days from now on Thursday for the first round of the NFL draft, and we'll do a little college football fix at 4:20 p.m. Eastern, 1:20 p.m. Pacific with Toledo head coach Jason Candle. A whole lot to do today, but we do got to start off with what happened last night in the association. I know there were 3 games, but there were 2 games that everyone was buzzing about. And I know that both of these games were game 2s, but because of how epic and how much of a catastrophic collapse we did see by the Philadelphia 1-2-3-4-5 Sixers, 10-9-8 76ers, and then Stu's Los Angeles Lakers, that is really the moment where you feel like, okay, the playoffs are back. We always know the Stanley Cup playoffs and hockey deliver. I was at game 1 for the Rangers over the weekend, and then we got to see the postseason in the NBA really start to shine last night, where you had the Knicks, who looked like it was going to be 1-1 going down the turnpike to South Philadelphia, where New York was down by 5 points with 30 seconds to go, and the Sixers choke it away. And we know their coach was bitching and complaining last night, trying to tell us that he was trying to call a timeout. When you further review it, didn't look like he was emphatically trying to call that timeout. He was very indecisive on if he was going to call the timeout or not. And then the next game that followed, and we'll get into the Knicks and the Sixers coming up 20 minutes from now, but we have to start with the game that followed that one, which was the Lakers and the Nuggets. And if you listen to me since 2020, since the bubble, there has been no person that has been a bigger proponent of this Denver Nuggets team on national radio than yours truly. I did a Sports Minute back in 2020 when it was really started to see that how good the Nuggets could be. It was that Jazz Nuggets series with Donovan Mitchell going up against Jamal Murray, and the two of them are going off. And I said, this is the start of something really special. They're not going to win a championship this year, but watch out in future years. And then in 2022, where they did lose to the Warriors, Denver, and they did not have Jamal Murray. They did not have Michael Porter Jr. A lot of you people were being doofuses, and you guys were saying, Denver's not that good. Nikola Jokic just wins MVPs. They're never going to win a championship. And I'm like, hold on. We are now in an era of dynamic duos, and the Robin to the Batman was injured, and now people were going to say in 2022 that Denver wasn't going to be able to win a championship. And then in 2023, guess what happened? Even with Jamal Murray not fully having his legs back, you finally had Michael Porter Jr. somewhat healthy. They didn't even play their best brand of basketball, and it was still good enough to outlast everybody else because you have no answer for Nikola Jokic, and the Nuggets raised the Larry O'Brien trophy last year. And it doesn't stop there, because I've said this before. When I am right, I'll tell you I'm right. I'll be the first one to tell you. And then when I'm wrong, I'll be the first person to raise my hand and say, your boy got this one wrong. But it was a week or two after the Super Bowl when we saw the great Patrick Mahomes and that Kansas City Chiefs team not even play their best, but they still found the way to win it all. And it was inevitable, looking back at it, even though I doubted Kansas City, that the Chiefs were going to win a championship. And once Kansas City won another championship and did go back-to-back, I remember crafting up a take here on CBS Sports Radio. Well, I'll give credit. I saw David Shepard, who was walking around the newsroom before we started our show. Shep here very, very early. But Shep said to me, I won't imitate him today. But Shep said to me, hey, Gelb, I remember when you did a take in February that what Patrick Mahomes is to the NFL is what Nikola Jokic is to the NBA. So I appreciate David Shepard bringing up my right takes, because you look at this series. I know the fat lady was already singing before the series did start, and no, the fat lady in this case, even though he's not a lady, was not Stu, who already said that this series was over before it started. Big-time Laker fan, Stu is. But this series, there was never a shot that the Lakers were going to win 4 games against Denver. But look at the way that these 2 games have played on out, where Denver has still not played their best brand of basketball. The Lakers have had big leads in both these games, and they don't have a victory to show for it. And last night, it's weird to say you were seeing a vintage LeBron James performance, because all these years later, he's still a dominant force. But it looked like LeBron was going to will his team to a victory. They were up 20 points at one point in the third quarter, and then the lead vanished. But right when the lead vanished, he had 2 big 3-point shots, and it's like, okay, maybe this is going to be the Lakers' night. And this is something that I know we have talked about it, but it still doesn't get enough play. Jamal Murray is by far and away, and we all know how good he can be, but Jamal Murray's the most underrated player in the NBA still. And maybe it's because of how much respect and shine we give Nikola Jokic. But I have said this for a while, that when you look at the value of Jamal Murray, it's so essential, because can Nikola Jokic go finish a game? Yes. But you look at a team like Philadelphia, and I know it's a little bit different now because they have Maxey, but Embiid's not the same player he once was just because of the injuries. He's still dominating. He can still be great. But the Sixers would love to be the Denver Nuggets in this approach where your big man is a unicorn, your big man is one of one, and Nikola Jokic is a better all-around player than Joel Embiid. But what the Sixers are trying to find for years is what Denver has had. The only thing is injuries got to take it away for a little bit, because Jamal Murray is a finisher. And Jamal Murray, you saw it last night. And Anthony Davis, oh boy, where is Waldo? Do we need to slap his face on a milk carton? Because he's MIA, Anthony Davis. His fourth quarter, there's been atrocious fourth quarters. I don't know, for a player who's considered to be a top 75 player of all time, if I've ever seen a worse fourth quarter than what Anthony Davis put on display last night. He was 0 of 1. No points, 1 rebound. 1 stinking rebound. And he played in 9 minutes and 55 seconds. How is that even possible? Like, Anthony Davis, do you still have a pulse? I couldn't believe it. And it's one thing to not show up on the offensive end when LeBron James is trying to will you to a victory. But defensively, you talked all this smack, how the voters never give you your respect, the voters hate you, you should be Defensive Player of the Year, you should be a finalist every year, you're the best defensive player in the league. And what happened? You got cooked on the final play by Jamal Murray. And not only did Jamal Murray hit the game-winning shot in your face, the entire team swarmed you as you had a Denver Nuggets team that there was euphoria, there was elation, and you just fell into the stands. And at least one of your former teammates, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, was like, let's watch out for Anthony Davis. Let's gather around Anthony Davis. Let's protect him because that dude's always hurt as well. Think about how humiliating that is for the Lakers. And guess what? It's very similar to the way that this series played out last year. I had tickets to go to Denver for Game 5. Lakers and Nuggets in the conference finals. That Game 4 of that series was one of the craziest things I've ever seen. But this is what the Lakers do. Like, if you are a true Laker fan and you are honest with yourself, you know this team doesn't have a shot to win a championship, but then they suck you back in by playing better than what you expect, and they build you up just to take a sledgehammer right to your knees and have you fall down. Because that's what a 20-point lead in the third quarter. I know that's not insurmountable these days in the NBA, but you have a 20-point lead in the third quarter with LeBron James playing the way that he was, and you can't win that game. But the reason why you can't win that game is because, once again, Nikola Jokic is the most unstoppable player in the league. No lead is too big for Denver. Nikola Jokic, Patrick Mahomes, it's like they're the same person. Doesn't matter what the lead is. You know there's always that fear and that thought that they're coming back. And both of them have an elite Robin. Travis Kelce, elite. Jamal Murray, one of the more underrated players in the league still. And he's a finisher. And he stomped on the grave of the Los Angeles Lakers. And then he danced on it. And he celebrated as you saw that series, even though it was over before the series start, but really end last night. Because if the Lakers would have won that game, it's 1-1. You still know Denver's going to find the way to win the series, but at least there's some intrigue. At best, going back to LA for games 3 and 4, the Lakers maybe will win one game. But if you listen to that Lakers team last night, they know it's over. I don't care what Anthony Davis says after the game. I don't care what LeBron James says after the game, how they try to spin it into a positive. Anthony Davis last night got humiliated in that fourth quarter. And LeBron James, as much as I love LeBron, you are bitching and complaining about the replays? That's why you lost? Don't get me wrong. It was a bad reversal. It was in the damn third quarter, though. You lost that game. Your team blew a 20-point lead. Anthony Davis doesn't show up in the fourth quarter. The reversal had no impact on what happened in the fourth. But he made it out as if that's the reason why they lost the game. But that's all because LeBron knows his team doesn't have a shot up against the Denver Nuggets, who are the freaking Kansas City Chiefs, for crying out loud. Let's listen up to LeBron. I was laughing because sometimes you watch a game and you forget when a replay happens. And I saw this on Twitter afterwards. I'm like, what replay is he talking about? Oh, what is he? And then I go, oh, it was the one in the third quarter. It's hysterical. Here's LeBron calling out the replay.
I don't understand what's going on in the replay center, to be honest. D'Lo clearly gets hit in the face on the drive. What the do we have a replay center if it's going to go It doesn't make sense to me. It makes no sense to me. It bothers me. Sorry I didn't answer your question, but that is like. And then I just saw what happened with the Sixers Knicks game too. What are we doing?
Can we have some accountability, please? I'm a man of accountability. LeBron, where's the accountability? Last year, you guys got embarrassed by Denver. Yeah, I'm thinking about retirement. No, you weren't. You just didn't want to face the music. You wanted everyone to talk about something else rather than you getting swept out of the Western Conference Finals. And now this year, he's already doing like pre-damage control. And even mentioned the Sixers-Knicks game, too. Even mentioned that game. So the headline today isn't, and we all know LeBron played great in the game. He did miss a wide-open three at the end. But now the headline today is LeBron slams the officials. LeBron slams the replay process. Like, give me a break. No wonder why Denver hates the Lakers. I don't blame them. Because they always find a way to beat you. And you never have this Lakers team just tip their cap and say, we can't find a way to beat them. I think it was Kendrick Perkins who said he's right. The Lakers should call the Nuggets daddy because they own them. It is wild. Here is Anthony Davis asked about what was going through his mind on the Jamal Murray game-winning shot.
Can you take us through that last play, just what happened and what unfolded? What was, I don't know if you were screened or what happened.
Yeah, you got cooked.
Play. Jamal Murray made a shot.
Slam the microphone down and go right and cry, Anthony Davis. Cry. Where? Because that's all I heard from the Lakers and the Sixers last night. Where? You guys blew the game. And it was, it's the officials' fault. Oh, it's the replay. Can you give some credit to the other damn team and the other players for crying out loud? Sixers, shot. Lakers, shot. And hey, the crazy part is Denver and the Knicks haven't even played that well. And you know what? I felt bad for my guy Stu last night. I texted Stu with 8 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. And I said, give me a little pulse check here. What are you thinking? Within 5 seconds, Stu texted me back, they have no shot. No shot to win this game. And then when LeBron hits those 2 threes, I texted him, here we go. And Stu then responded back, still no shot. And then boom, the real Los Angeles Lakers stood up. They showed up. And they proved that Stu was right heading into this series. Even though Darvin Ham said Stu should go to an insane asylum for saying he'd rather lose the playing game and then try to get the 8th seed to go up against the Thunder. And even though I thought Stu was wacky for saying that, I did also agree that, yes, there was no way the Lakers were going to beat the Denver Nuggets. But there's a bigger point here. No one's beating the Nuggets this year. And the only team that has a shot to do so are the Boston Celtics. But this isn't the NFL where one game, you're better, and then the other team's season's over. You have to beat this Denver team 4 times. And I truly do believe the only thing that will slow down the Denver Nuggets this year is health. Because as long as Nikola Jokic is standing, as long as Jamal Murray is standing, as long as Michael Porter Jr. is standing, I don't see a team in the NBA that's going to beat them. And I was right in 2020, hyping up this team. I was right in 2022, right in 2023. And in February, I said it on this show, I said it in those highly listened sports minutes, that until someone takes them out, I won't believe that the Nuggets are going to be going home this year without the Larry O'Brien trophy. 855-212-4227, 855-212-4227. It is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. We go from the Lakers choke job to the Sixers choke job. Because as bad as it was that the Lakers lost that game last night, it's one of those moments last night with what the Sixers did where you say, I've never seen anything like that. You're up 5 with 30 seconds to go. And in like 10 seconds, poof, the lead evaporates. We will talk about the whining, complaining Sixers when we return. Because Nick Nurse You got some splaining to do because you were a liar last night. Coming on back.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
You're listening to the Infinity Sports Network.
So the Sixers are emotionally shot. Like, if I had to say, Lakers or Sixers, who has a better chance of coming back? It's still the Sixers, but that's just because Denver is the best team in the sport. And I haven't even been that impressed with the Knicks in the first 2 games. But the scary part is their preeminent player, Jalen Brunson, hasn't even played his best game, and he hasn't even played well. And the Sixers are still down 2-0 in the series. And I know, right, the old adage, a series, you're not in danger in a series until you drop one on your home court. But I got to think that the Knicks find a way to get one in Philadelphia. And last night was the night that the Sixers could have put some fear and could have rattled the New York Knicks. They could have. And when you're up by 5 points with 30 seconds to go, I don't care who you're blaming after the game. The only one you should be blaming are yourselves. So Brunson hits that 3, and it's a fortuitous bounce. It cuts it down to 2. And then all hell broke loose on the inbounds. We'll play you Nick Nurse in a second. He kept on saying he was trying to call a timeout. I give credit to Jerry Ferrara, Turtle from Entourage. He put out a good video, and it was clear that Nurse was thinking about the timeout, but he never actually called it until the ball was on the floor. But here's what I'm hearing from Sixers fans today. It's almost like they don't want to face the reality. Where, yes, you have a right to complain about the officials, but the officiating isn't why you lost the game. Because on that inbounds pass, if you're going to say, well, Brunson mauled Maxey, well, how about a second or two earlier where Tyrese Maxey clearly pushes off on Josh Hart? So should there have been a foul called on Jalen Brunson? Yeah. But there also then should have been a foul called on Maxey when he pushed off Hart. Regardless, once the Knicks get the ball, Dante DiVincenzo, before he made a 3, missed a 3. And when that ball is up in the air, and I took a still image of it, I still don't know how the Sixers didn't get the rebound. How does Joel Embiid, I know he's at 100%, he may be 60, 65%, if that, and he's still an incredible player. But how don't you get that rebound? Because Hardenstein wanted it. He gets the rebound. They swing it out to DiVincenzo. Boom, 3. Other end, Hardenstein made a great play. And then with the chance at the end to jack up a 3 and tie it, you had Maxey not really be able to get a shot. He fired off to Embiid, and then it was no good. So you want to tell me, oh, the Knicks won that game because of the officials? I don't think that's true. Because I started off with the Sixers just crumbled to epic proportions last night. And all they had to do when they were in position was out-hustle the Knicks and grab a rebound. And if they grab that rebound, in all likelihood, they win the game. It's 1-1. You got new life going back home to a raucous atmosphere in Philadelphia. Now, I believe that you see some of the hidden truths with Sixers fans in the last 20 or so hours, where they knew that this team heading into the postseason wasn't a championship team, even though Maxey is the best 2 that Embiid's had, because Embiid, once again, is not fully healthy for a postseason. And this is early on in the series where Embiid is already slowing down. And he's struggling to get up and down the court because, in all likelihood, I appreciate him playing, but he probably shouldn't be playing. Now, he could still dominate a stat sheet, but as the games go on, and as we've seen throughout the years, as the series go on, Embiid gets winded because he's not healthy. And I've seen the games, and I've seen the way that things have been hitting up. I remember being in a Game 5 in TD Garden when Embiid turned over the basketball. I remember up against the Hawks. Everyone talks about Ben Simmons passing up that shot because it was a terrible decision. Embiid turned the ball over late there too. And Joel Embiid was a no-show last year in Game 7 because he was huffing and puffing up against the Celtics. So it's the same story each and every year. But because of how people like to question the Celtics, some of it fair, obviously, and you looked at the matchup, and even though the Knicks have been a heck of a team this year, people are overlooking the Knicks, and you have Sixers fans start to buy back in and get sucked back in. But through 2 games of this series, it's not as if the Knicks have been this dominant team. Brunson has not been good, but they're still up 2-0. And last night, you could complain about the officiating all you want, and some of it does have truth. But you can't say the officials are the number one reason why they lost the game. The number one reason why the Sixers lost the game is on the first 3-point attempt by DiVincenzo before he buries the second. The Knicks out-hustled you. And you were in position. It's kind of crazy. Like, Knicks fans are haunted by Reggie Miller. That was like the reverse Reggie Miller last night. And went in the Knicks' favor. And the Sixers now go back to Philadelphia down 0-2. And I think they're emotionally shot. Here is Joel Embiid. He couldn't even look the reporters in their eyes. He was like crying after he did in that Raptors series. You may listen to this and say, oh, wow, he sounds pretty confident. But if you see the actual video of what he was saying, he's just looking down. I know he's saying this series isn't over, but with the way that he presented himself, it was tough to believe that Embiid even believes what he was trying to sell you after the game.
We good. We're going to win this series. We going to win this. We know what we got to fix. We did a better job today, so we're going to fix it. But we're the better team, and we're going to keep fighting.
You heard that, and when you just listen to that, you're like, okay, that seems pretty convincing. But when you see it, he's just looking down. We fixed what we needed to fix. We're the better team. We're going to win. We're going to win the series. He's just like looking down. It looks like he's at a funeral, for crying out loud. He's trying to tell you that it's something good's happened when you know something good did not happen. But here is Nick Nurse after the game last night. And I actually appreciate Nick Nurse's ability to BS in the immediate aftermath of the game. You were not clearly calling a timeout until the ball was loose. And I know there's a bunch of screenshots, but I will fully explain this to everyone. But let's first hear from Nick Nurse.
The first thing is, obviously, they score. We take a look at getting it in quick. We don't get it in quick. I call timeout. Referee looked right at me, ignored me, went into Tyrese. I called timeout again. Then the melee started. And, yeah, I guess I got to run out onto the floor or do something to make sure and get his attention. But I needed a timeout there to advance it. Would have been good, but couldn't get it.
So there's a truth and there's a lie. Let's start with the lie. On the front end of that conversation, when the ball was getting inbounded and they were trying to inbound the ball, he thinks about calling the timeout. He is about to call it, is almost about to make the T signal, and then he drops his hands as if, no, I'm not even thinking about the timeout. So, coach, you say maybe you have to run the court. If you were actually calling the timeout, you would have been jumping up and down, freaking out that the timeout wasn't called. Now, when the ball is inbounded, he is trying to call a timeout. The problem was the ball was on the floor. It was loose. So don't tell me about the first part and how the officials, like, you were sitting there jumping up and down, call timeout, call timeout, call timeout. You were indecisive about it. And that indecisiveness prevented you from getting the timeout. And in that moment when the ball is loose, you called the timeout too late. So Nick Nurse, I know what he's doing. He's trying to get the calls going into game 3. But I don't like to hear Embiid bitching about the refs, Nurse bitching about the refs after the game, when all they had to do was box out and get a rebound after the first DiVincenzo shot, and they avoid all of this. And once again, if you're going to say Maxey, and I don't have a dog in the fight here, but if you're going to tell me that there should have been a foul on Brunson, okay, when he pushes Maxey. But before that, Maxey pushes off on Josh Hart. But no Sixer fan wants to say that. The Sixers, I think they say, oh, here we go again. They know they're deflated. They know they're done. Coming on back with Coach Dan Mullen, we'll get a step closer to the NFL draft. That's 2 days away on Thursday night. But first up with the latest Infinity Sports Network update, here he is, the Act Man, Rich Ackerman.
Infinity Sports Network Sports Flash.
And it's sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Looking for a career path with flexibility, great pay, and benefits? Go to progressive.com/careers and apply online today. The Clippers were missing former Finals MVP Kawhi Leonard Sunday, but still able to handle the Mavericks, winning Game 1 by 12. Leonard is questionable for tonight's Game 2 with inflammation in his knee. Paul George said there's still plenty of firepower on this team to overcome that loss if necessary.
We still have more than enough. Obviously, Kawhi puts us well over the top, but we still got more than enough. You know, the luxury we have is just experience with James, myself, Russ. Norm's been in big playoff battles.
The Bucks host the Pacers, looking to go up 2 games to none after getting 35 from Damian Lillard on Sunday. The Timberwolves took the early series lead over the Suns and look for back-to-back wins on their home floor tonight. The home team is 8-2 so far in the Stanley Cup playoffs, with 4 series resuming tonight, starting at 7 Eastern with the Rangers and Capitals in New York. And the Phillies look to make it 8 straight over the Reds tonight in Cincinnati. I'm Rich Ackerman.
This is the Infinity Sports Network. Follow us on Instagram. Our handle is Infinity Sports Network. That's Infinity Sports Network to follow us on Instagram.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
You're listening to the Infinity Sports Network.
All right, it is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. We'll talk to Coach Dan Mullen right now as we get set for the NFL Draft coming your way on Thursday. And also, Coach is once again partnering up with the Southern Company Peach Bowl Challenge, as they always put on their very entertaining charity golf tournament. So we'll chat it up for a few minutes with Coach Dan Mullen right now. Coach, great to see you. Thanks so much for doing this. How you been?
Yeah, I've been great. It's, that exciting time of year. You got NFL draft, you got playoff hockey, playoff basketball, and it's golf season.
Yeah, how is your golf game? I got out over the weekend. I had to go to a wedding Saturday night, so I played early Saturday morning with a few of my buddies before we had to go over to the wedding. I did not play well. I had a birdie, so it will get me to go back. But outside of that, it was a lot of double bogeys and triple bogeys.
Yeah, you just remember the birdie, especially like later in the round. It's all like, finish with a flourish, and then you feel good about coming back. So I actually had to have a knee surgery earlier this spring, so I haven't been out. So this coming weekend will be my first round of golf in quite a while. I don't think I'm getting the bonus handicap strokes for it, but it'll be my first round in a while.
Will you use a golf cart? You'll be like John Daly, right? You're not walking.
I'm a golf cart guy. I have fun golfing. I enjoy it. I enjoy being out there.
So tell me a little bit about the event and obviously the great cause as well for it.
Well, the Peach Bowl Challenge does such a great job, and I've done it for, I can't even know how many years, but, it's here at Reynolds Lake Oconee. It's a great location out at the Ritz. We play the Oconee course here at Reynolds, one of the 6 courses that they have. They got unbelievable golf here. Day one we go out on Monday, and it's, the celebrity scramble. You go out with all the sponsors, go play. But Tuesday is basically all the coaches. And, they have the coaches in the Legends division now. And this is my year 2 getting to be a legend. I've played a bunch as a coach. Now I've gotten to play as a legend. But a great event. It's actually, the money that's raised for the Peach Bowl does through scholarships The coaches all play for some money that goes to their specific charities, their individual foundations to help people. And so it's a lot of fun. And you know what's really fun is I've done it through the years. We have people come out. We have spectators come out. It's a great opportunity. You get to see coaches from all over the country, current and past coaches out there and going to play at a beautiful golf course.
Talking to Coach Dan Mullen. We'll get to the draft in just a second, but let me hit you up with 2 college football questions. First, you've seen the good moments, you've seen the bad moments at Florida. This is a crucial year for Billy Napier. You just having an interesting perspective with how many years you're with that program. Just what advice would you give him to try to get this thing right at Florida, moving in the right direction in year 3?
Well, one thing for Florida fans is score some points, right? That always just at least puts a smile on their face. I mean, you got to win games. But when you're scoring points, that keeps a smile on people's face. But, I think, Florida's finally caught up. You look, they finally built a football facility. They're putting themselves in a position, really. They've been playing catch up for probably good near 10 years in college football of being way, way behind everybody else. So I think they've finally caught up, and it's just going to take some patience now that they've built some facilities. They got themselves even with other people. There's a changing landscape with NIL that you got to adjust to on top of that. So I think, some of the patience within programs, you look at a lot of programs right now that are being successful are programs that have had some patience within what's going on with their coaches, and now they're starting to see the success.
And then we get to Alabama. It's going to be a weird adjustment, no longer seeing Coach Saban on the sideline, but they got a heck of a coach who took Washington to a national championship in Kalen DeBoer. We know Alabama fans every year are going to say championship or bust, but what are your realistic expectations for Coach DeBoer going to Tuscaloosa in year 1?
Well, I think one thing that Coach DeBoer knows is what the expectations are, and he's going to have – listen, he took Washington to the national championship game last year. He's got really high expectations for himself, for his coaching staff, his program, and he's going to bring those with him, even though Alabama already has them. He's going to have them as well. I think he's an awesome fit for that job, that program. Getting to talk to him a little bit, his demeanor. You got to go in there, and you got to go in there with being able to balance the expectations, being able to balance what you're following Nick Saban and coming in and handling all of that. And I just think his demeanor, he's going to go in, he's going to coach ball. He's got a little bit of a relaxed demeanor, if you will, and don't confuse that for lackadaisical. Don't confuse that for anything else. I just think his demeanor coming in, being able to accept Nick's in the building, he's going to, I think ego-wise, he's going to sit there and say, I have one of the greatest coaches of all time here to learn from. I'm going to sit and listen to everything you have to say. I think you have to be able to handle that in his personality. He's going to be a great fit. I think he's going to come in with a great offensive mind, with some talented players. And I think you're going to see some the continued success for the Alabama program with Coach DeBoer at the helm.
Talking to Coach Dan Mullen, it feels like as we're 2 days away from the draft, Caleb Williams will go 1 to the Bears and Jayden Daniels will go 2 to the Commanders. Does that sound right to you when you're ranking these quarterbacks in the NFL draft?
Oh, boy, that's a tough one, isn't it? There's so many different variables, right? And it's hard to say there's ever a perfect one, right? There's ever the perfect fit. That's so hard to find, so hard to do. So I think that's about right. Caleb Williams, I'm sure there's question marks. I watch him. I have question marks. I'm sure, you hear the different things with the question marks that people have about him.
What are your question marks with him? Just wondering.
I just want to look and you say, okay, you want the most important trait of a quarterback, right, is leadership and winning. Does he have that leader, hold everybody, kind of grab the reins and make it all go factor? And can he carry his team to a championship? That's what they want from quarterbacks. Patrick Mahomes has an it factor. He can carry his team to a championship. Now, the talent's not the question, though, when you look at Caleb Williams. He has the talent. He has all those things. And you know what? And it's going to be to see. He hasn't played in the NFL yet. He hasn't seen how his game fits, his leadership, what he's like in the locker room and getting guys to play, right? Because the quarterback's job is to raise the play of everybody around him. And is he going to be able to do that, with the Bears? That's the question. It'll be interesting to see. Jayden, I'm really excited. I was really excited with him at LSU. I thought he took some huge strides last year, and strides in the pocket game, which is, something. It was almost like he was training for the next level all year, if you will. When you watched him play, we know he has the athleticism when you see him make these long runs at LSU, the escapability, the ability to extend plays, use his legs, and how dangerous he is running the football for explosive plays. But really watching him throw the ball vertically down the field, stand in the pocket and make throws, really interesting, and then, you still throw out the Drake May, some of the other guys, you just, once you kind of hear this is who people like, it tends to go that way. But boy, you never know with the NFL draft, do you? There's always going to be some surprises coming.
Yeah, and McCarthy, J.J. McCarthy, it seems like he's rising up the draft boards. Now, a lot of that is based off potential. Michigan, they would have been stupid to not run the ball as much as they did with Corum and Edwards behind those offensive lines the last few years. That's always the difficult part, is projecting how they'll do it the next level. But with more opportunity, how do you think J.J. McCarthy will fare?
I think he'll do great. I think the hardest thing for guys coming out early, you look and you say, okay, especially, really JJ's one, but, I don't know, depending on what they're going to do offensively, they're going to change a little bit to put more on his shoulders, say, hey, you're going to have to carry the team now, not manage the game. And everybody freaks out with the game manager term. That's like, I love game manager. A game manager to me is somebody that does what he needs to do for the team to win, right? And if it is, I got to come out and throw for 500 yards and 7 touchdowns, I'm going to do that. If I can check us into the right play and hand the ball off and just let the guys around me perform, I'll do that. Maybe I just need to lead a 2-minute drive to win the game. That's what you want to see. So for a guy like JJ, with more situations where he kind of has to put more on them, they played such great defense, were in so much control of games. Very rarely did he have to have the game thrown on him to go win it during last season. Drake May's another guy I really would love to see one more year of development. And it's not, boy, stay in college or do this. You think of the reps that guys get. You're talking about 1,000 live reps, throwing the ball under pressure, under duress, and you're doing it at a level where you are the best guy instead of the rookie. You're the veteran, experienced guy instead of the new guy learning. So I think there's always opportunities. You would have loved to see these guys maybe get some more reps in development so they're ready sooner at the next level. Because the worst thing I think, and you see some of these young quarterbacks come into the NFL, if your pro organization's not ready for them,
yeah,
right. Where if you have a good O-line, fantastic. Go take a young quarterback and throw him in early. Let him, because you're
Coach, for example, if McCarthy goes to the Vikings with Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison, okay, I could see him having year one success. He goes to New England, he goes to the Giants. I think it's going to be ugly.
Different deal, because just think of the O-line. I go back. I was fortunate enough to coach Dak Prescott. You look at his career. He came back, played a 5th year in college, got so many reps, and under duress. He went to an organization where they had a pretty good O-line. And so, you're talking about fractions of second. You're 0.4 seconds is a long time. So if your O-line gives you an extra 0.4 seconds, that's a long time in the NFL. Well, that allows you to give that margin for error where you're learning how to be a better decision maker early in your career, and you're not just getting smacked around all over the place. And you look at some quarterbacks, younger guys that have come in and have success. A lot of these guys came into some good situations, and they're able to get on the field in a good situation, and they have positive results. And then they get the experience in good situations. Then as they get older, they have that experience already. So, they're making quicker and faster decisions and all of those things. And, a lot of these quarterbacks that are super high rated that go into bad situations, you're like, what happened to them? Well, they never really got the chance to develop or maximize because they didn't have the time to learn to process and learn the right way.
No, it's definitely a great point. Coach, we're up again, so we appreciate the time as always. Make sure you check out and help out the Southern Company Peach Bowl Challenge as well. We appreciate you coming on for a few minutes today, Coach.
Awesome to be with you. Awesome to be with you. Enjoy the draft this weekend.
You got it. Thanks so much. We'll do. There he is. Coach Dan Mullen does a great job for ESPN now, and we know he coached quite a bunch of years at Florida and Mississippi State as well. We will take a time out, and I thought it was a good breakdown, especially the fit. The fit with the quarterbacks is everything. I think Caleb Williams has enough to succeed right away in Chicago. There is enough for Jayden Daniels to succeed with the Commanders. But after that, those guys, McCarthy, May, Michael Penix Jr., I think it's more so about where they go if they're going to have a chance to succeed or not.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. 45 seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Infinity and beyond.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show.
Alrighty, hour number 2 of the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. The Defensive Player of the Week is sponsored by the Navy Federal Credit Union, who proudly serves the Armed Forces, DoD veterans, and their families. Their members are the mission. Learn more at NavyFederal.org. This week's player is Maple Leafs goalie Ilya Samsonov. In last night's 3-2 win over Boston, he saved 27 out of 29 shots that came his way. That series is now tied 1-1 as the two teams head to Toronto. And sources say during one of those saves, you did have Samsonov look up to Sully, who was in the crowd at TD Garden, and said, "This one's for you, Sully." As I don't think Sully was all that happy as he was in attendance for game number 2. Just wondering, before we get into this Jonathan Kraft story regarding Diana Rossini and her reporting, how warm is it in your side of the studio? Stu and Samter, what does the temperature currently read on your side of the studio?
It'd be 73 degrees.
73. I'm out for a few days. I'm sitting here. I am schwitzing. I'm sweating like a pig. And I looked up at the thermostat, and it said it was also at 73 degrees in here. Now, there's a lot more lights. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, like 13 lights that are on, shining down on me. I don't know why there's this many lights here that are on. But that being at 73 degrees is ridiculous. I just threw it all the way down to 66, which tells me that Ack is not going to be happy when he comes in for his update, because if it's up to 73, there's only like 3 people that could change that. All right, four potential people: Maggie and Perloff, Amy, or Ack. Only people that are really in here during the Infinity Sports Network lineup, with Rome out in Southern California, Bill Ryder in LA, JR and Bart, with JR in Atlanta and Bart in Milwaukee. So someone must have been really, really cold in here, where they have to jacket all the way up to 73. By the way, Ack isn't happy with me. Ack and I may not be on talking terms right now. So a few weeks ago, Ack and I got into a heated conversation about our hockey team, our beloved New York Rangers. And I said to Ack, Barclay Goodrow and Jacob Trouba are both way overpaid, and they need to start showing up. Barclay Goodrow, to open up game 1 of the Stanley Cup playoffs for the Rangers, a game that I was at up against the Capitals, who are old and just, if the Rangers don't win this series in 5 games, I'll be very annoyed. The Capitals just look like they don't belong. Well, Barclay Goodrow had 2 assists. So I text Ack on Sunday after the game, like an hour after the game ended. Hey, your boy 2-1 really showed up, played well. Like, right? Nice thing. Ack in all capital letters, "I'm DVRing the game." I don't know about you guys. If you're DVRing the game, and Ack and I talk enough about the Rangers, you got to make sure everyone knows you're DVRing the game. Also, how do you DVR a playoff game? And I know Ack's a little bit older, but we're all connected to our phones. Someone's going to spoil it for you. So if you're actively trying to DVR the game, you got to put your phone on airplane mode, right? Like, if I'm trying to, for example, if let's say I had a conflict on Friday, I thought I was going to have a conflict on Friday after the show where I wasn't going to be able to watch Game 3. And I moved around what I needed to move around. But if I was going to DVR or watch the game later, I would put my phone on airplane mode or do not disturb so no one can get in contact with me. I'd probably put it on airplane mode because then it totally shuts off the cell phone connection. But is that on me? Like, I'm innocuously trying to congratulate Ack on one of his favorite players playing well after I was critical. And then Ack sent me an all capital letters text that he's DVRing the game, and he was very, 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 very mad at me. And Ack looked at me today, and he was just like, not good. You ruined the game for me. So should I feel bad about that, Samter? Just wondering.
No, 100%. It is up to the person who is DVRing the game to be responsible. Like, if I don't know if you guys talk significantly about these games during the game.
We talk, not during, but we talk a good amount about the Rangers throughout the year.
Yeah, but I mean, like if you guys have normal conversations during games, absolutely has to let those kinds of people know. But like in general, if you are trying to DVR a game, do not look at your phone. If it's coming from somebody who you know is also in that field, like sports, you definitely don't look at your phone. Like if my mom texts me during a game I'm DVRing, I'm not worried that she's like, oh man, Yankees blew the game. No.
You think there's a family issue potentially.
Right. So like, you don't necessarily have to go on airplane mode, but you certainly have to avoid looking at any message from anybody that you know who might be watching that game.
So the weird part about this whole thing is there have been moments. Like, have you guys ever got screwed over? Like, my text wasn't immediate in the moment. Like, if I'm texting Ack immediately in the moment, that's different because now you have to be cognizant with streaming that the person could be delayed. Like, I have not cut the cord yet, and I refuse to do so because 2 times where I was not watching on cable and I was watching at a buddy's house, I have had endings of games ruined for me with either someone sitting there looking at their phone knowing the ending on social media or somebody texting me and ruining the ending. Remember the Chiefs-Bills game this past year? Ray Martell texted me. And I was watching at a friend's house and I didn't know it was streaming. And he goes, oh my God, wide right again for Buffalo. So I'm sitting there and I had to just be disgusted with myself. I didn't want to ruin it for everybody else, but I knew that the kick was going right. There was also a Patriot-Bills game. I want to say it was the COVID year where Cam fumbled the ball down the left sideline. And it was on Red Zone and we were streaming. And my friend goes, oh no. And I turned to him and I'm like, what do you mean, oh no? He goes, I can't say anything more than that. So I knew something negative was going to happen. So I think the rule of thumb here is if you're watching a game, just stay off your phone until you have to go on your phone because someone's going to ruin it for you.
Have you ever tried the fake out on the text? Sending a buddy or a friend a fake thing that happened.
That's just cruel.
See, it's cruel, but then if they do ever look at a text from you during a game, they don't know whether or not to believe you, so you cover yourself for future instances in which you accidentally spoil a game.
Let me tell you.
Try that out. It'll be fun. I've done it before.
Yeah, I'm not friends with people that do that.
Oh, I'm definitely going to do it to you. Rangers Game 7 overtime, I'm definitely going to be sending you some sort of fake text.
Yep, and we will have a new producer coming in next week. I will go right to the new boss, Ryan Hurley, and be like, Sam, they're out.
Would you be more mad if I sent you a fake ending than the actual real ending of a game that you were watching?
Well, I don't think it's an issue for me because a game of that magnitude that I actually care about with my team, I'm watching on my couch with cable.
Sure, but maybe maybe you have to run to the bathroom, so you paused it.
No.
Never.
Run to the bathroom with 2 minutes left in a big game?
No,
please.
Maybe you ran to the bathroom.
I'll pee in my pants before I go to the bathroom.
No, but maybe you ran to the bathroom earlier in the game. You just didn't catch up yet.
No.
Well, that's kind of what happened to me at the Super Bowl when I'm watching my Chiefs and I was behind.
Oh yeah, I
and
forget
then my
about your
recording
story.
Ended too early and
because
I
of
missed the end of the
overtime.
game. Yeah.
And you missed the whole thing.
I missed all. No, I caught like the first 4 plays of overtime, and I missed my Chiefs winning a title.
And then you see McCall Hardman just running around celebrating. You're like, what the heck just happened to you?
No, I saw Travis Kelce giving a post-game winning interview, and I was like, God
You got to fight for your right to Lombardi. And Sandra's like, what the heck just happened? Anyway, I got to get to Diana Rossini. So she said the other day, the Patriots are listening and taking calls from teams looking to move into 3. No reaction from me. What happens on the back end, though, of this tweet is where I'm very concerned. While Elliott Wolf is running point, I'm told Patriots president Jonathan Kraft is heavily involved in the decision-making. I know some people have refuted this. Diana Rossini, though, is a pretty credible reporter. So someone pretty significant had to tell her this. That's concerning to me. Because there's a difference in being heavily involved, but doing what your football people tell you to do. If he is usurping the football people, then I have a big fear that my Patriots could end up becoming the drama Dallas choking Cowboys. Because Jerry Jones runs that organization. I know Will McClay and Stephen Jones play instrumental roles. But Jerry Jones before has made football decisions because he thinks he is the football guy. Jonathan Kraft, it was always told this way to me. And I've said this since it's got to be like 2017, 2016, that I was told Bill will be in New England until Jonathan Kraft takes a big-time role. And even though Robert Kraft will always be the face, where Robert starts to get a little bit older and starts to slow down a little bit, not that Bill had any animosity with Jonathan, that would just be eventually a time where Bill will walk away. Now, things have obviously changed. Bill is no longer there. But now I feel as if this is Jonathan's time where he's like, okay, Brady's no longer here. Bill's no longer here. My father's getting up there in age. I'm starting to really take control because I'm going to be, right, the guy running this team one day. I think it's a bad decision for owners to meddle their way with their football people. Like, whether you like Elliott Wolf or not, Elliott Wolf should be making the decision on who the Patriots are taking at 3 or if they're going to trade the pick. But, like, let's say if like a King Ransom offer comes in, Elliott Wolf's like, I don't really love any of these quarterbacks once Daniels and Williams are off the board, and he wants to make the move, I could see Jonathan Kraft saying, no, we need a quarterback, take a quarterback. And the ambiguity there, and I'm not saying that this is definitely happening, but the fact that there's ambiguity there scares the living crap out of me. Because Samter, I think it's a very dangerous formula where obviously the owners are the owners of the team. They could do what they want. There is a difference in being in the loop, checks and balances, right? Being involved. But at the end of the day, I want my football people making the decisions. And where Elliott Wolf, right, he has control of the roster. It's such a bizarre thing on his long term with the organization that we still don't know what's going to happen. And remember, they hired Gerard Mayo first. They didn't bring in a new GM. And they said, okay, Elliott Wolf, you're going to basically be that de facto GM. Without knowing exactly how that's playing out, and now Jonathan Kraft is heavily involved, it makes me think that, yeah, okay, Elliott Wolf is running point, but Jonathan Kraft is grabbing onto him and basically making Elliott Wolf be the puppet, where Elliott Wolf will have his suggestion. Gerard Mayo will have his suggestion. But ultimately, it feels like this is Jonathan Kraft's call. And no decision will be made unless Jonathan Kraft signs off on it. And when you have a boss saying, oh, I want to do this, and you're trying to keep your job, that could end up the Patriots making the wrong decision. Full disclosure, I do think the Patriots are going to take quarterback. I think the Patriots are going to take Drake May at 3. But these are where the offers start to intensify. And could a team like Minnesota, Could a team like the Raiders, the Broncos, the Giants call and make a Godfather offer? I guess they could. And if Elliott Wolf isn't in love with Drake May or J.J. McCarthy or Michael Penix Jr., you don't just take a quarterback to just take a quarterback. And I hope that this is just Jonathan Kraft being involved, being briefed on everything, saying, don't do anything until you run it by me at the end. But ultimately, Jonathan Kraft should should follow the football people that are in place. Because that concerns me, where we've seen what Jerry Jones has done, where they've always been solid, they've been fine. But there are some decisions that you wonder, if Jerry was out of the way, maybe the Cowboys would have had another championship by now. And Jerry can do what he wants because A, he owns a team, and also B, he's won championships in the past. But when you haven't won since 1995, a lot of people then question Jerry Jones. And for the Patriots, maybe that's them in 10, 15 years from now. It's like, oh, remember that last championship that you won? Remember that? And Jonathan Kraft is taking the power and taking control. So that's my fear, is how this pick is actually made. And what, if even though I don't love Elliott Wolf, if he's making the decision, I can live with that. If this is Jonathan Kraft holding Elliott Wolf's hand and really making the decision, that's a problem for me. All righty, we'll take a time out here on the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. Jason Candle, the head coach of Toledo, is going to stop by on the other side for a little college football fix.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
We miss college football.
Milrose stands in. He throws into the end zone. He caught it. It's caught by Isaiah Bond in the corner of the end zone. Touchdown, Alabama.
We can't wait for the 2024 season.
Hands it off to Edwards, who will bounce it outside. Got him at 40. Got him at 30. Donovan Edwards is in the clear. His second touchdown run of the ball game. This time from 46 yards. And Michigan has taken a 13-3 lead on the second touchdown of the night from the man who was not tripping.
And we're counting down the days to kick off.
Are we there yet?
No.
Are we there yet?
I said no.
Are we there yet?
What's wrong with your ears?
Here is your college football fix, only on the Zach Gelb Show.
Toledo, a season ago, they were 11-3 in 128 days. They will kick off its season up against Duquesne. They're also going to have a big party on Thursday evening, I would imagine, as Quinyon Mitchell, who was defensive back for their team a season ago, had an illustrious career with Toledo, and he's now being projected as a top 15 pick in this upcoming NFL draft that is 2 days away. So let's welcome in the head coach at Toledo, and that is Jason Candle, kind enough to join us right now on the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. Coach, thanks so much for doing this. How you been?
I'm doing great. I appreciate you having me on, Zach. How's everything with you?
Well, I'm doing fantastic, and I know this is an exciting time as you guys are zeroing in on seeing Quinyon Mitchell get drafted on Thursday evening in the first round. Just kind of describe the emotions as now draft week is here.
Really excited for Q. Obviously, a great representation of our football program, and really just happy for him because I really feel like he perfected this entire process of being true to himself, staying true to what he wanted to get done from when he was a high school, senior to a college freshman, and now seeing this thing through to potentially being a first-round NFL pick. And man, oh man, I say all the time to our team that man's greatest struggle is being who you said you were going to be, because I think the behaviors that are required to do that are really difficult to master. And this young man has been first class every step of the way in that.
These are my favorite kind of stories, when you have guys that aren't in Power 5 schools and they make these crazy just ascensions. And now you're seeing him. I've seen him projected to be the 8th overall pick in the draft. When you go through the journey since you've been there, when you look at him from 2020 until now, how do you describe how this is even possible with what he's been able to do?
Well, elite physical traits, first and foremost. I mean, 4'3", all day long, 6 foot corner, going to, 225 on the best bench press over 20 times for the last few years here. And, a ton of ball production, knocked a ton of passes down, some, coming out party a couple years ago at NIU, 4 interceptions in that game. He's just been able to answer all the bells. And as I mentioned before, just to watch him kind of perfect the process and really hone in on his craft. Just a special story, and one that, that we're going to celebrate in the city of Toledo for a long time.
I know you talked about the 4-interception game. Was there like a moment, though, in practice that you maybe realized it? We were talking before you came on. I told you I'm a Temple guy. I'm still not over the ass kicking you gave us in that Boca Bowl a few years back when I was a senior at the university calling those games. But I remember Matt Rule once pulled me aside and said, hey, just watch this guy Hassan Reddick. He's going to really be a player. Now, Hassan was a walk-on, ends up being the top 15 pick of the draft, but you saw something and you knew that you had a secret that would eventually get told throughout the years. Was there maybe a moment or two behind the scenes that you just remember saying, man, this guy's going to be really special one day?
Well, I think I've been asked that question a lot, and it always comes back to me of the consistency of the quality of play. I mean, I learned this at Mount Union College, coaching Pierre Garçon as a 24-year-old, a wide receiver coach. And, you saw those highlight type moments every day at practice, and you just watch an elite athlete perfect the process to where it looks the same every day. And the physical traits are off the charts. The quality of the human being is superior to many. But I think there's some intangible things there. Like, I think he's got great eyes in the secondary. He's got a real feel for anticipation of what most guys can. They have the speed to recover on a double move. Others have great anticipation. This guy's got both, and that creates a rare talent, and that's why you see where he's probably going to be picked where he's projected to be because of those type of things. But it wasn't a specific moment that I could point to. I think it's just the consistency of the moments and the highlight type plays that I saw every day.
Jason Canzel here with us, the head coach at Toledo. They were 11-3 a season ago. They kick off its season coming up in 128 days from now up against Duquesne. Just staying here with Quinyon Mitchell for a few more moments before we talk about your team for this upcoming season. Now we're in an era where you could develop someone, but before you get to see them fully develop, when they get a little bit of some recognition, NIL, transfer portal, they leave the school that they were originally at and maybe go to a bigger program. Why did he always stay?
Well, I think that's a question he's answered publicly, so I feel really confident in telling you that I think it was about relationships. It was about the people in the locker room, and he's a team guy, and he's these are his words, not mine. Staying loyal to the people that have been loyal to you, and that's a I don't want to say that's a rare thing today because I think that's selling young people short, but it's not. It's becoming more uncommon that this is the practice and this is the way that this works out. So to have him go through this and really do the right thing, what was right for him, and ultimately at the end of the day, what I think was right for our program, and for it to work out on both ends. This is a great story to tell, and one that, as you mentioned, just from the opening, the one that you root for.
Absolutely. I'm just wondering, when a coach calls you up and they're trying to do the due diligence on him in the final 24, 48 hours, obviously everyone could see what he was able to put out there on the field onto film. But what do you say about him as the person? Because those are always things, right, where every stone, these teams that are running their draft department, scout departments, all of this, they try to leave every stone. They don't want to leave any stone unturned here. So what do you kind of tell them about him as a person, outside of football?
Well, I would point to one story. He had a top 30 visit with the team this year. He stays overnight in that particular city. They fly him back on a 6 a.m. flight. I look out of my window and he's in the 10 o'clock a.m. workout group running with our guys. Wow. And they're running, they're training. They're not, hey, we're going to condition because spring football's over. We go right into 2 weeks of real training to preview the summer. And man, oh man, a guy that's a first round draft pick, he's on a top 30 visit. He gets a 6 a.m. flight. He's back in Detroit at, whatever time, 8 o'clock, and he's in his car and he's here to be in a workout, and he's right there running with the guys that he played college football with. You can't make that up, and then you can't script that, and nobody's telling him to do that. His agent's not telling him to do that. I'm not telling him to do that. That's just who this guy is each and every day. And once you make light to that story, that's pretty much all they really ask about, because that speaks to the character of the young man.
Are you guys going to the draft together? Are you going to be spending it, where he's from?
We are going to the draft. He's an in-person invite, and myself and a couple of our coaches are going to go up. So super excited about that, and really fired up for him, and be able to to share a special moment with his mom and his grandma, and then all the people that are close in his inner circle, and going to be a special time for him.
I know you guys have been very consistent. You've been at Toledo for a long time. Outside of Quinyon Mitchell, and the story will get highlighted whenever he hears his name called on Thursday. As you guys gear up for another football season, what do you want people to know about your program going into the year of 2024?
I just think we're a program that does things authentically, and we tell each other the truth. We have honest conversations with our players, and we fully understand and we fully embrace that we're a developmental program that gets guys at 18 or 19 years old and tries to allow them to reach their full potential, and we do that in an authentic manner. And I think our guys really appreciate that. That way there's not a lot of corners cut, and how the growth process goes when these things come up about portal and NIL and the things that you mentioned, and what I would call tampering. I think that you can deflect a lot of that because I think our guys really are a connected team and they enjoy playing for one another and they enjoy playing for their coaches. So I think it's real here. I think the relationships are real, and we're starting to produce real results and real people from what I think is a very strong growth process.
Yeah, and let me make myself clear here. I'm not anti-transfer portal. I'm not anti-players getting paid through name, image, and likeness deals. But for the smaller schools, for the non-Power 5 schools now, 4 with the Pac-12 pretty much donezo, it's so challenging, I think, for you to navigate it as a coach. And I'm just wondering, it seems like you guys have adjusted just fine to it because you keep on pumping out big-time victory seasons. But how has that transition been in this changing landscape where, you look at Nick Saban, it's why he's walked away. We've seen Jeff Hafley go from being a college head coach to an NFL defensive coordinator. It's an adjustment. How has that adjustment been?
I think the frustration becomes there's so many uncertainties. I have no problem with adapting to the waters. Change is inevitable, and you have a personal choice of how great you want to make your situation that you're in. And I fully embrace that. So I get that it's my job to put our players and our program in the best position to be successful, and we'll continue to work really hard at that. We got a great thing here. We got a great city that we've locked arms with. We got a great institution that supports our athletic department at a high level. So we have a lot of things positioned to where we can be really successful. Obviously, first round draft picks help, and you want to make sure that you recruit quality young men like the Quinion Mitchells of the world. And, our guys next year, the Maxon Hooks, the Jerwan Newtons, the Darius Alexanders, the guys that I think could, you're going to be hearing these guys' names picked next year. So we can continue to develop at a really high level if we know what the rules of engagement are. And we're happy to play the game with whatever those are. I just think everybody in college football would like some clarity on maybe what it looks like moving forward. And sometimes you don't have the answers to that, and you gotta adapt on the fly. And that's the world we live in right now.
Well said. Hey, I really do appreciate the time. Enjoy it coming up on Thursday. I know it's an exciting time for you, Q's family, and obviously it's going to be a great night for Toledo. So thank you for doing this.
I appreciate you, Zach. Go Rockets.
You got it. There he is, Jason Candle. Let me tell you, the story of Quinion Mitchell, man, he just laid it out perfectly. But you start to see that name where you hear about first round, and now as we're 2 days away from the draft, I see him projected as high as 8. In the top 15, some pretty neat stuff right there. All right, Yak, we got to get to some business here.
Yes.
How annoyed are you with me? We were telling the story before.
Very.
I saw some icy stares in the newsroom.
Yes.
I know you're not thrilled with me because on Sunday, about 45 minutes, an hour after the game, I texted Ak after the Rangers go up 1-0 in the series. Man, your guy Barclay Goodrow, who I've been critical of, had himself a good game, a good performance. Trying to rub elbows, have a little fun conversation there. And Ak just fully texts me in full capital letters. Oh, I'm DVRing the game. So am I forgiven or are you still going to be mad at me here?
No, you're forgiven now.
Okay, good.
That's why I turned up the heat before.
Man, 73 degrees, Ak.
You didn't see that, did you?
I was sitting here. I'm sweating my ass off. So that's the Ak payback.
Yes, that was the payback.
So I have paid for my wrongdoing, and now we could be okay back on the same team for our Rangers.
Yeah.
So anything I need to be made aware of if I feel like texting you an hour after the game tonight?
You could do that tonight, but like before, you have to ask before the game.
Okay.
So
now I don't get a text from you. I have to ask you, hey, are you up to speed with the game? Are you in the
Exactly. I don't like people. I like to watch my games. I don't text anybody. I shut myself off. I keep my mind on only the game.
Gotcha. So maybe go airplane mode next time. Maybe go airplane mode. That way you can cut off communication to the outside world.
What if you get an emergency phone call?
That's true.
So,
okay.
Yeah.
Oh, if you get an emergency phone call, It won't be for me.
Yes.
Just do what I do whenever Zach texts me. Ignore it and don't even look at it.
Well, I couldn't help it because I was sitting in front of my computer because I was watching it, and of course it's all synced, so it pops up in the computer, and I was not.
By the way, the best part about this story, Acton texts me back 5 minutes later, and he goes, "There's a guy that does TV, obviously locally in New York, Steve Gelbs, my plural family member. Since I'm Gelb, he's Gelbs." And he goes, "Don't worry, you're off the hook. Steve Gelbs just totally ruined the game for me." So what did he text you?
He didn't text me, but he said the score of the game
in person?
during he was on the Mets telecast giving one of his reports about the game, and I was doing a great job of avoiding everything until that moment. And because Gary Cohen actually mentioned the Rangers in passing, and I did the la 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 la, I can't hear.
So you worked at the Mets game?
Yes, I was working the Met game, so I had to watch the Met game.
Gotcha.
And I had the TV sound up, and there was no spoiler alert, and he blurted out the score.
That damn Steve Gelbs.
Yes,
Kevin Burkhardt.
Now, at least with your text, I kind of knew what happened, but I didn't
it was
know
something
what
positive.
happened. Yes, so I still could go back. I kind of figured they would win the opener anyway, but I can kind of go back and not have an idea of what happened. Just that the guy played well, which, is fine. They could still win 2-1. They could win 1-0. You have no idea. But
You didn't even know if the game was over.
Yes, but when you hear the score, you're like, oh, God.
Yeah, it's like telling you what the movie is that you're going to see.
Exactly.
And you know how it's going to end, and you try to trick yourself that you don't.
Exactly. It's the difference of saying, that Katharine Hepburn or whoever was very good. I don't know why I just pulled her name, but but you still want to see what the movie is like, but then when you say, well, the butler did it, you're like, I'm not seeing that now. So,
all righty, we'll come on back. We'll ditch some of the biggest stories in the world of sports with some audio. We call it the News Brief. Now it's time for the latest Infinity Sports Network update with the Ackman, Rich Ackerman.
Infinity Sports Network Sports Flash.
And there are 4 games in the Stanley Cup playoffs tonight. You can text me with the Rangers, Panthers, Jets, and Canucks all looking to go up 2 games to none after taking the series opener on home ice. The Timberwolves made a big leap this year, and their Game 1 victory showed they are unfazed by the big spotlight of the playoffs and will host the Suns tonight, looking to take a comfortable lead in the series. Head coach Chris Finch said they can't ease up after striking first.
Our approach has to be one of, like it was the other day, keep our edge, keep our desperation. We still have a ton to prove. We expect this to be a really long series. That's a great team over there with a bunch of good coaches that are going to make adjustments, so we got to be ready for those.
The Bucks look to go up 2 games to none on the Pacers after humbling Indiana on Sunday, and the Clippers able to get by without Kawhi Leonard, taking the series opener from the Mavericks easily. They'll host Game 2 tonight with Leonard remaining questionable due to inflammation in his knee. The Phillies go for their 8th straight in Cincinnati after extending their winning streak, taking last night's series opener. The Guardians, with the best record in the American League, host the Red Sox as they go for their 5th in a row. I'm Rich Ackman.
The Infinity Sports Network is on your smart speaker. All you have to say is play Infinity Sports Network. That's it. Play Infinity Sports Network.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. 3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
For your daily news brief, we get you caught up on the rumors, reports, and reconnaissance from the day in sports.
This portion of the show is brought to you by Wesley Financial. Stuck in a timeshare and want out? Contact Wesley Financial Group now and get a free timeshare exit information kit at wesleyfinancialgroup.com. Let's hear from Drake May. He was on the This Is Football podcast on that joint visit last week. That was somewhat highly controversial when the Washington Commanders had Drake May, Bo Nix, Michael Penix Jr., J.J. McCarthy, all in for their top 30 visit at the same time.
I actually thought it was one of the cool visits I've been on. I think, always kind of the different places you go and see, kind of a steak dinner spot, and, just you're surrounded with, the head coach and GM and quarterback coaches. And then the Commanders took an approach of all of us being together and seeing how we interact, and getting a chance to swing the golf club a little bit. I enjoyed it, be around the other guys. I got to meet a lot of different guys throughout the process, and a lot of guys I saw in high school recruiting. I remember Marius Mims. Yeah. I tried to get him committed to Alabama when I was committed there in high school. Again, full circle. I know JJ well, and seeing Jayden and those guys was, I think it was a really cool experience for me. I think we all got our separate time with the coaches when we need to. It's not like we didn't do any of that. But Top Golf was just a way for us to get out and do something fun the evening before.
The only thing I would have asked him is, well, it wouldn't be to Drake May, it'd be to Jayden Daniels. Or maybe you could ask it to Drake May this way. Did Jayden Daniels seem unhappy? Because last week, that was so bizarre when we heard about this. And then you had Jayden Daniels' agent jump on social media and kind of question what the Commanders did. And there was a little bit last week where I remember I had to do a take on it where I don't buy any of this, and I think Jayden Daniels still going to be the pick at 2 because he's the best player at 2 with Caleb Williams off the board talking about the quarterbacks. And then this week, now everyone seems like Jayden Daniels still going to be the guy. So I guess the only thing I'd ask Drake May about this, since he was the guest on this and not Jayden Daniels, did Jayden Daniels seem like he was disinterested or he was unhappy with this approach? Now, May says he loves it, but what is May going to say? He knows he's not going to the Commanders. It feels like that's been made pretty clear at this point. Let's go to Mike Reese, longtime Patriot insider for the ESPN. He was on Toucher and Hardy on 98.5, the Sports Hub in Boston. And Mike Reese was talking about the Pats maybe looking to trade the number 3 pick.
I look at the Patriots as an example, like Elliot Wolf says, we're open for business, for trading. Do I think that's the likely scenario, Hardy? Like, I don't. Like, I think it's more like, you're either a motivated seller or you're sort of a curious seller. And I would put them more in the curious seller. Like, if someone's going to knock us over, yeah, we'll listen, but we're not looking to move out of here. That's how I sort of view their position right now.
The Patriots right now are like a high-end seller on one of those pawn shop shows where you walk in with a really cool piece of memorabilia and you go, we don't need to sell this, but if you meet my price, I will sell it because I know what it's worth. And that's what the Patriots are basically doing right now. They're saying, make me an offer that I'm good with. You know what my price is, and I'm not going to budge off of it. And I think that's a game right now where I just wonder, do the Patriots love any of these quarterbacks that are going to be made available? Because if they don't love any of these quarterbacks, they should absolutely then trade the pick. Here is Tyreek Hill. He was on the $1 Million Worth of Game podcast, and he was talking about a time recently where Mike McDaniel called him out.
A lot of guys aren't used to sitting inside of a meeting room, being the best player on their team their whole entire life, and then a coach saying, bro, you suck this.
You ever had somebody say that to you?
Oh, yeah, this year, Miami Dolphins. You know
what
I'm
happened?
saying?
Coach.
Play against Snead, the Chiefs. Everybody see this play against the Chiefs. Jamming to the floor. He called me out. He like, Reek, bro, you supposed to be the best player in the league, and you got this guy putting hands all over you like that. Man, we pay you all this money for what? And for me, I love like that because I'm gonna take that to heart and I'm gonna get better from it. That'll never happen again to me in my life, man. You feel me? If a motherfucker not holding me accountable, I feel like I'm not gonna be able to get better.
I have 2 reactions to this. Can I give you my serious reaction and my unserious reaction? Which one do you want first, Samter?
I always want the unserious reaction first.
Okay. A lot of kids in the background there. And you have Tyreek Hill dropping 1,000 F-bombs. Now, I'm sure, and I was a counselor once at a sleepaway camp, I'm sure those kids have heard those words before, and they probably said worse words. But I was not expecting to hear Tyreek Hill on this podcast dropping like 1,000 F-bombs with like all these children in the background. Now for my serious take. Mike McDaniel calls him up. And he goes, you're our best player. I kind of think the Dolphins are a team that aren't going to win a Super Bowl. And you may say, Zach, how do you put that together? Tyreek Hill is awesome. Yeah, no crap. He's awesome as a football player. But how many times has a team won a Super Bowl in the last 20 years or so with the wide receiver being your best player? And I look at Tua Tagovailoa. The Dolphins have said all the right things about Tua. They've embraced Tua with Mike McDaniel ever since he did come in, more so than Brian Flores ever did. and that was the biggest flaw of Brian Flores. He didn't have a relationship with Tua Tagovailoa. They still haven't given him a new contract yet. And when a coach calls up Tyreek Hill, and who knows what he said to Tua, and he goes, "You're our best player. You were basically bleeping terrible in the game." Rarely in the NFL now do you win with the wide receiver being your best player. Like, Kansas City doesn't have a number one wide receiver right now. And even when they won a Super Bowl with Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce was their best receiving option. The Patriots never had a great great wide receivers when they won. The Eagles, when they won a Super Bowl recently, didn't have a great wide receiver. You know, the Rams did have Cooper Kupp. I'll give him credit. Aaron Donald was their best player. And Cooper Kupp had a Triple Crown season. He was phenomenal. So there's one. But outside of that, like, number one wide receivers, as much as you would love to have them, they don't win a lot of Super Bowls in the last 20 years. Let's go to Chase Daniel. He was on Bleacher Report Live. He says Michael Penix Jr. is underrated in this draft.
I love Michael Penix Jr. Everything that this dude does, this dude was an absolute beast. Everything that he did, this dude legitimately can sling the ball. He's easily the best deep ball thrower, accuracy-wise, in all of college football. If you just take pure arm strength for me, this dude probably has the strongest arm of anyone in the entire draft. Like, just the way he gets through his progressions, the way he's able to throw the ball accurately downfield. And people like don't talk about his athleticism because he never ran. The dude ran a 4.4. So I do think the leadership qualities are there. I do think the experience is there.
Everyone says the same damn thing about Michael Penix Jr. And I've said all those things that Chase Daniels just said. But no one highlights the flaw in his game, which I'll get to in just a second. He's going to be a first-round pick. I would think he goes in the first 20 picks, if I'm being honest. Do I think he's a franchise-altering player? I do not. I think where he gets drafted and the fit where he gets drafted is important. He goes to Minnesota, I think he could succeed. You ask him immediately to go carry a team like the Giants or the Patriots, I think he'll be a disaster. We all know in the pocket he's the best deep ball thrower in this draft class. Everyone has said that. But what happens on the underneath throws? Because Michigan basically dared him to throw the ball short up against them, and that's where those mistakes happen. They said, we're going to try to take away the deep ball. So I think he could be good. Do I think he's a franchise quarterback? Do I think he's a great quarterback? No, I do not. Here is Todd McShay. I miss Todd McShay this time of the year since ESPN did let him go. He was on Part of My Take. He has high praise for Jayden Daniels.
If I'm just evaluating this past year, 2023, I don't see a huge difference between Caleb and Jayden. I don't. I think he's got a chance to be special. I promise you, of the dozens of calls that I've made from January to now with guys in the league, general managers, personnel directors, scouts, all over the league, there isn't one person I've spoken to that believes that Drake May should be drafted number 2 over Jayden Daniels.
Ooh.
Like going back to February, where teams were like, yeah, we're still debating between Caleb and Jayden at number 1, okay? Like that first tier has been, for teams, has always been kind of Caleb and Jayden. And then the second tier is Drake. And then the third tier is J.J. McCarthy. And then you get into the fourth tier where you can start talking about Michael Penix and Bo Nixon.
And I feel like a big reason why Daniels has separated himself from the other quarterbacks after Caleb Williams is those 1,100 rushing yards. That's what I think in this style of football now, where mobility is so big, and there's ways to be a mobile quarterback without having a ton of rushing yards. But what have a lot of people said about Jayden Daniels? They said he could be like Lamar Jackson, except with a better arm. So if that's the case, man, and Lamar's won 2 MVPs, and people think that he could be Lamar except with a better arm, it's kind of like an ideal video game type of quarterback, great quarterback, moving forward in the year of 2024. Finally, here's Jamal Murray on his game-winning shot against the Lakers.
I told my teammates when I was struggling, like, I'm going to look for y'all. I'm going to look for y'all. And every single one of them told me to keep shooting. Keep shooting. Be aggressive. Keep shooting. Even when I was throwing up that bullshit floater, they just told me to just stay aggressive and keep looking for it. Keep hunting it. I had the ball with a few seconds left, and I knew once I made a couple, the next one should go down as well.
Shooters got to shoot. That's the bottom line. I'll never forget, I talked to Steph Curry once in a game that I saw him play in Philadelphia. He was like terrible. He's like 0-9, 0-11. Didn't make a three-point shot. I was so excited to see Steph play years ago, and he didn't make a three-point shot. He goes, I'm going to keep on chucking him. Shooter's going to shoot. That's what Jamal Murray needed to do, and with the game on the line last night, he was Mr. Clutch. And he made Stu very, very, very frustrated as his Lakers go down once again and blow another game to the Denver Nuggets. As the Denver Nuggets, they own the Lakers, and they also own my producer extraordinaire, Stu. Take a time out. This is Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. Come on back, talking more football.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. 45 seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
To infinity and beyond.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show. Here's your host, Zach Gelb.
All right, hour number 3 of our radio program. It is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. Coming up 20 minutes from now, we will do an off-season edition of Overreaction, Proper Reaction to get you set for the NFL Draft. And in about 40 minutes from now, Arch Manning balls out in the spring game for Texas. Is there any QB controversy? I do have 2 stories for you, by the way. We will get to them in about 5 minutes. We have some clarity on the Topgolf visit last week, where reportedly Jayden Daniels was not thrilled, or Jayden Daniels' team was not thrilled with J.J. McCarthy and Michael Penix Jr. and Drake May, the other quarterbacks all being present on the Commanders' visit for those guys. And also, Peyton Manning has a glowing review of J.J. McCarthy. Does that mean that Sean Payton is going to trade up in the draft to try to land J.J. McCarthy? But before we get to all those stories, let's talk about just the terrible performances by Stu's Lakers and the Philadelphia 76ers last night. And both of those teams share something in common. They blew leads last night, and then after the game, they basically blamed the officials. So I thought Nick Nurse was laughable after the game last night. The way he tried to portray the events got Sixers fans all riled up. When you slowed down and watched the replay, on the inbounds pass, before that pass is made, he didn't call a timeout. You could send me the screenshot where it looks like he's calling the timeout, but he puts his hands up over his head as if he's about to call a timeout. And then right as the ball is about to be passed in, he drops his hands and is like, nope, I don't want a timeout at all. Thank God I didn't call it. Where if he actually wanted a timeout before that ball is passed in, he would have been jumping up and down, going berserk to get the attention of the officials. But let's replay this sound. Here's Nick Nurse after the game last night, and I thought this was lame. He called out the refs for the end of his team's loss up against the New York Knicks.
The first thing is, obviously, they score. We take a look at getting it in quick. We don't get it in quick. I call timeout. The referee looked right at me, ignored me, went into Tyrese. I called timeout again. Then the melee started. And, yeah, I guess I got to run out onto the floor or do something to make sure and get his attention. But I needed a timeout there to advance it. Would have been good, but couldn't get it.
The only time the timeout is an actual question is about a half second that you have that decision to make once the ball is in and it looks like Maxey has it. That could be in question. But still, it's such a bang-bang decision and it's such a bang-bang occurrence where that ball is rolling around the officials may not think you have possession when they finally hear you call timeout. But the initial part, where him trying to claim that he was calling a timeout before the inbounds pass, that's just untrue. He was thinking about it. He never actually called it. Because if he was serious about calling it, and if he actually wanted it instead of being indecisive, he would have been emphatic when it wasn't granted right away. Because there was a good amount of time that was going on, at least 5 seconds, right, before that pass was actually passed in bounds. So what Nick Nurse did last night, and I'm not saying the officiating was great. Like, there's no doubt about it. Maxey gets mugged at the end of the game, but before that, Maxey mugged Josh Hart. So it was no call, no call. But your team didn't lose the game because of the officials. You could have, after the game, I know what he's trying to do. He's trying to blast the officials. He'll pay the fine, and then maybe he gets a better whistle in game 3. But you lost that game because your team didn't box out. The Knicks, who are a team based off hustle and grit, out-hustled you because when that ball's getting thrown around the court and it's rolling around, the Knicks get it. They get it to Dante DiVincenzo, and he missed the 3. Since Sixers fans love to send screenshots today, take a screenshot when that ball is first released out of the hands of Dante DiVincenzo. How the Sixers didn't get that rebound is laughable. How Joel Embiid, I know he is huffing and puffing, and Joel Embiid is winded, and he is clearly, 65% maybe, at most. You have to, in that moment, get that rebound. And Hardenstein made the hustle play, and they got the ball back out to DiVincenzo, and they hit the 3, and you see a 5-point lead choked in 30 seconds. So that's the Sixers and the Knicks kind of part of that series. The Knicks have not even played great, and they're still up 2-0. But let's hear from Joel Embiid. He made it clear last night after the game he is not worried about the Sixers being down 0-2. Now, this sounds a whole lot better than the way that it was actually being delivered from Joel Embiid. He sounds confident, but if you watch this video, he looks like he's down in the dumps. He is looking down at the ground, and he looks like he's on the verge of tears. I thought eye contact would have been a little bit better here, but here was the audio clip.
We're good. We're going to win this series. We're going to win this. We know what we got to fix. We did a better job today, so we're going to fix it. But we're the better team, and we're going to keep fighting.
See, here's the thing. I know the Sixers, Embiid gets hurt, and then they went from being a 3 seed now all the way down to a 7 seed. A reason why you're not the better team this time of the year is because, big fella, you're either not in shape or you're injured. And that was clear, Embiid in the fourth quarter, you knew he had no gas left in the tank. So for him to say they're the better team, yeah, if everyone's fully healthy, the Sixers probably are a better team. But with how these teams are constructed right now and who's available and who isn't, the Knicks are the better team. And if we're going to play the injury game too, well, the Knicks don't have Julius Randle right now. And the Knicks did not play a good game last night. And guys like Jalen Brunson, who has not played well in this series, Hardenstein, Josh Hart, Dante DiVincenzo, they made the plays when they needed to. I can't even imagine. That's an all-time bad beat. 5 points with 30 seconds to go, the Sixers are up. And you go back to now Philadelphia down 0-2. I don't want to hear about the officials when you blow that game, when you snatch defeat from the jaws of victory. I don't want to hear this nonsense about the officials. Officiating isn't perfect. When you blow a game like that, players and coaches have to look themselves in the mirror because that's the reason why they lost the game. And the lack of hustle and the lack of rebounding is the reason why the Sixers lost that game. Now to Stu's Lakers. Stu, let me ask you this. I know you had no confidence in this team going into this series. And I know last night, when we were texting with 8 minutes ago, you said this team is absolutely losing. But for the Lakers to build a 20-point lead in the third quarter, and then after the game, LeBron James calls out the review system from something that happened in the third quarter that had nothing to do at the end of the game where LeBron was playing great, hit those 2 big threes. He missed a wide open 3. Murray goes down the other end, and he hits that shot right in Anthony Davis's face. For the game to end that way, And for LeBron to whine about the replay system from the third quarter, I want to get Stu's thoughts on that. But first, let's hear from LeBron James.
I don't understand what's going on in the replay center, to be honest. D'Lo clearly gets hit in the face on the drive. What the do we have a replay center if it's going to go? It doesn't make sense to me. It makes no sense to me. It bothers me. Sorry I didn't answer your question, but that is like. And then I just saw what happened with the Sixers Knicks game too. What are we doing?
The lack of accountability really annoys me. And I know LeBron did a lot to try to will his team to victory last night, but this is now 2 years in a row where they're going to lose a series to the Denver Nuggets. And last year was after game 4. Who knows how much longer I'm going to play. I got to make that decision. We all knew LeBron was coming back. And now after game 2, you're going, and hey, I don't get how that was overturned. But to make an issue out of that after the game, after your team blew a 20-point lead and Jamal Murray cooked Anthony Davis at the end of the game, I thought it came off rather weak from LeBron James last night. That, me, is not being a Lakers fan, though. I'm curious your Laker fan take on it.
I 100% agree with you. I thought it was weak. When I saw the quote after the game, I was like, did I miss something? Did I miss something in the fourth quarter? Like with 3 minutes to go? Like, was there a call that I zoned out on and just no, it was from the third quarter. And I just couldn't believe that because that didn't change the game. You had a 20-point lead. You blew a 20-point lead. It's not because of one call. Like it's absurd. It's a loser mentality. It's like you say, you can never just say, okay, the Nuggets are the better team. That's all you have to do. And they know they're the better team, but he doesn't want to say that.
And you know what the crazy part is about this entire thing? Like, we're so fortunate to be able to watch LeBron James. And it's crazy how he's still able to play at this level for how many years. I know he's had some injuries towards the end here with the Lakers. But the last 2 years, I'm almost like done with LeBron from what he said last year at the end of the Nuggets series and then what he said last night after game 2. And the one thing I wish LeBron would do differently, I think because now we're in this era of social media and there's a camera in his face 24/7, he tries to be like a politician. LeBron tries to be buddy-buddy with everyone, I guess besides the people that operate the replays. But I almost just wish he would have embraced rivalries a little bit more. And I think that goes back to there was a time where LeBron went from beloved to being the villain with how he went about the decision. But then he goes back to Cleveland, wins a championship, then goes to the Lakers, wins a championship. I'm not saying he needs to be the villain, but you could have like a little rivalry with some of these other players now in the NBA where it would be better. Now, he knows he can't win this one up against Denver. If they just like embrace that. At least Anthony Davis basically said, right for the season, so we can't wait to face Denver again, and we'll shut them up. They did a lot of talking. Now it's kind of lame when you got swept last year, and LeBron took away from their moment. But that's the one thing with LeBron, or the two things, is I wish there was more rivalries with him, and I wish he would kind of feed into maybe having like a little hatred for some people. Outside of like Lance Stevenson, right? Remember when he was like blowing the ear of LeBron James? I think it was the Pacers. And like, what are we doing here? And not only that, it fits into the narrative that a lot of people do. That LeBron just bitches for calls and he whines after games when it doesn't go his way. Because that's what you heard last night. Let me hear from Anthony Davis on the 0-2 hole the Lakers have dug themselves into up against Denver once again.
We have stretches where we just don't know what we're doing on both ends of the floor. And those are the ones that cost us.
That's a shot at Darvin Ham, right? Now, I'm not saying Darvin Ham should be the coach of the Lakers, Stu. But that is, I know it's coming from Anthony Davis, but this is once again the LeBron James playbook. Tried to get Spoelstra fired, got Blatt fired. Vogel no longer there. Whenever something doesn't go LeBron's way, the coach ends up paying the price. And I've always said this with LeBron teams. LeBron is the team. LeBron is the coach. I hold LeBron more accountable than the actual coach. Doesn't mean Darvin Ham's any good. But I'm not looking at that game last night saying, I need to blame Darvin Ham. Because AD and LeBron, you have the power to change things in that organization. AD, I don't care what you want to say about the coach, what you think about the coach. You were the player, Anthony Davis, that in the final 9 minutes and 55 seconds of that game, you had no points. And then after bitching about how much you deserve to be Defensive Player of the Year, Jamal Murray hits the game-winning shot in your face. Now, this is a guy that's considered to be a top 75 player of all time on that NBA list, which was very controversial. And we all know Anthony Davis is a heck of a player. But to literally be a non-factor and to be a detriment to your team, and it almost would have been better if he was on the bench than what he did on the court in the final 9 minutes, 55 seconds, the only words out of your mouth should have been, I played like crap. That's all that should have happened. It is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. So I was reading Ralph Acciano during the break on Emoji Gate with Jayden Daniels' agent. This is the latest from Ralph Acciano. One team source dismissed the controversy as just noise and insisted they have no indication at all that Daniels would be unhappy if he's taken by Washington. In fact, according to multiple sources, Commanders general manager Adam Peters and Daniels' agent Ron Butler talked on the phone late last week and settled any lingering issues. Another team source insisted the whole flap was way overblown and selecting Daniels number 2 is still very much in play. In fact, many sources around the NFL are convinced that Daniels will inevitably be the Commanders' choice. So there's so many people representing Jayden Daniels. Like, for example, we know one of the publicists, Denise White, who's awesome. She had to release a statement trying to clarify this. Like, I think, Jayden's in good hands with her from the marketing side. But I don't understand what Ron Butler, who's his agent, was doing here. He's going to be the second pick of the draft. So when you put that emoji out there, when it makes it appear that he wasn't happy with what the Commanders did, the only way you do that is if Jayden Daniels doesn't want to go to the Commanders. Now, I have no proof that Jayden Daniels doesn't want to go to the Commanders. But it made no sense for him to do that, and all it did was create a lot of headaches. And still, the Washington Commanders shouldn't be bullied by some emoji here and some tweet. You conduct your visits the way you want to conduct your visits. So this whole thing, I think it's been overblown since last week. Daniel's going to be the second pick. Now, here is something that I just read during the break, too. Peyton Manning, who I think identified now as more of a Denver Bronco than an Indianapolis Colt, which is crazy. But Peyton Manning went on 104.3 Denver Sports, and he said, I know Denver is very interested in him, and it sounded like a place he'd love to come to, but it's a little bit out of his control. Who was he talking about? J.J. McCarthy. Now, Peyton Manning also did go on to say, I texted him the day after the national championship. I never met him, but we invited him to our football camp, and Jim Harbaugh wouldn't let him miss a workout, so he didn't get to go. So I just reached out and said, hey, man, congratulations. Wish you the best of luck in your next chapter. Manning said, I guess he thought it was a prank. He never called me back, so I texted him Monday from the same number, and he's like, oh, it really is you. That's a great story. Yeah, I thought that somebody was pranking me, and so I just kind of wished him luck, and he asked me some questions, so he called me back and was impressive to talk to. Denver, I know they just traded for Zach Wilson. Here is my hot take. I don't think Zach Wilson's going to prevent them from moving up in the draft, but Denver's sitting at 12. Now, last year, Will Levis was rising up draft boards. He went out of the first round, fell out of the first round, ended up going in the second round. Do I think J.J. McCarthy, that this is just all smoke? No, I think J.J. McCarthy, the farthest he will fall will be to 6 to the Giants. Is Denver going to want to move mountains after all the capital they just gave up for Russell Wilson, after the capital that they gave up for Sean Payton to go get J.J. McCarthy? Personally, I wouldn't do it. I don't think Denver is in a position to win anytime soon. And if McCarthy goes there, even with the brilliant offensive mind of Sean Payton, I think that's going to be a bad landing spot for J.J. McCarthy, where he's not going to be able to succeed in the first year or two. So I do find it, though, rather interesting where you don't think Peyton Manning would be giving the answers to the test, but he's kind of putting the pressure on the Broncos saying, yeah, he's interested in going there. And you like him. And you know what that endorsement of number 18 does mean.
Doesn't really matter if the quarterback has an interest in going there or not.
No.
Or the player in general. Unless he's going to pull an Eli and pull a power play, say, I'm not playing here.
Which only Eli's been able to do. I know LA, right? But in recent history, it's really only been Eli because he had the backing of the last name Manning. I think it's the new era athlete and player empowerment, but ultimately, the NBA is a player empowerment league right now. The NBA players run the league. The NFL is still run by the NFL owners. So someone like a Caleb Williams or a Jayden Daniels or a J.J. McCarthy or a Drake, it really doesn't matter where they want to go unless they're willing to go back to college and skip the draft, right? If Caleb Williams, I know the whole Chicago thing's been dismissed, but let's say if he didn't really want to go to Chicago, he could have returned back to college. But he didn't. So in the NFL, I'm the Bears, I'm not saying this is an issue now. I'm taking Caleb Williams no matter what. And I don't care what he says in the interview or what he does, even if he tells me he doesn't want to go there. You don't want to come here, then go back to college. So to answer your question, no, I don't think it really makes a difference. But it's not the best start if, let's say if Jayden Daniels did come out publicly and said, I don't want to be drafted by the Commanders for an organization that's trying to get away from all the drama and all the craziness, that would not be a good start to that relationship. Coming on back, a little overreaction, proper reaction. This is Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. "45 seconds remaining. "30 seconds remaining. "15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Another NFL week is complete, which means it's another week to freak out about your favorite team. Which takes are truly crazy.
But sometimes a game can be so bad, it's almost good. You know what I'm saying? No.
And which are so crazy, they might be right.
He's 6'5", he's 245 pounds. He's probably a Popeye's biscuit away from being a tight end.
Zach lets you know in this week's edition of Overreaction or Proper Reaction.
All right, the NFL draft style. Samter's got some questions for me. Michael, take it away.
Well, in the non-shocker of the day, the Bears are going to draft Caleb Williams first overall. Yeah, that's the thought. They might also go with a cornerback or possibly a defensive tackle.
They take it, Quinyon Mitchell?
Yeah, they might go safety there. But if not, they're going Caleb Williams for sure. But they also have the 9th pick in the draft. Most believe they will go after either offensive line or wide receiver. But today, Caleb Williams tweeted, quote, "Oh, bleep." He didn't use the bleep. "Just saw Rome Odunze on my flight to Detroit. Big fan!" Exclamation point.
You know who's a bigger fan of Rome Odunze?
You and I?
I like Rome Odunze.
When we met him at the Super Bowl, he was much bigger than I thought he would be.
Yes, but there is one particular person here, David Mayernick, who's one of our bosses, who after our interview with Rome Odunze at the Super Bowl, waited for the interview to end, and once we said goodbye to Rome, walked over to him, and David Mayernick, shaking his hand, extensive conversation how impressed he was by Rome Odunze on the field this past year and then his performance on our radio extravaganza.
Well, I mean, he was
So if Mayernick was running the
with
Bears,
us.
I'm just saying, he'd be the number 1 overall pick.
I mean, maybe Odunze should skip the NFL, come right to Infinity Sports Network.
I would gladly take him as a co-host.
All right,
I would say it would probably be better in his pocket and better in his career to go play in the NFL first, and then hopefully we're still here. And,
I mean,
he joins us 10 years from now.
We'll go right from Rome to Rome. It'll be Jim Rome into Rome Odunze and Zach. That'll work out really well for ISN. Now,
Rome retires 20 years from now, and we have Rome Odunze replacing Jim Rome.
You know what? Jim Rome will still be on the air when Rome Odunze retires from the NFL, let's be honest. Overreaction,
Maybe
proper
Rome
reaction.
Odunze's a clone.
Maybe.
He
must be.
Possible.
Overreaction, proper reaction. The Bears should go wide receiver at number 9.
Proper reaction as long as one of the big 3 are still there. At 9, I do not think Marvin Harrison Jr., hot take, will be there. I do not think Malik Neighbors will still be there. I like Rome Odunze a lot. I've said he's the second best wide receiver in this draft class, and they've had a pretty good track record at this stuff. I look at a team like Atlanta right in front of them, and that's where I've been mocking Rome Odunze to go. But if I'm wrong on that, Atlanta says, no, we need more defense, then, yeah, he's there at 9. I know the Bears have DJ Moore. I know they just traded for Keenan Allen. I would gobble him up and grab a wide receiver at 9.
And if those 3 are gone, you don't think like a Brian Thomas should be? I mean, if they really want the receiver, I know they have DJ Moore, they have Keenan Allen, who's always hurt. He's great when he's healthy, but he's always hurt.
So I don't think you have to then, because if that's the case, then you're probably getting the first defensive player off the board. And instead of getting the 4th wide receiver compared to the first defensive player, I think there is a bit of a drop-off from that. But Brian Thomas Jr. is going to join us tomorrow, and I am very excited to talk to him because I think that dude is going to Buffalo. I think the Bills are going to trade up, and I think he is going to be a big player.
Don't you know the Bills don't need a number 1 wideout?
Yeah, that's
also that was from their GM.
Yeah, no, I know what you're referencing.
I just want to make sure that the listeners understand.
That refuses to say Super Bowl or bust, and then they hang a picture of the Lombardi Trophy in their facility.
Yeah. Well, my former team and my former number 2 overall pick quarterback, Zach Wilson,
Did you have
traded.
a Zach Wilson jersey?
No. I do have a Mark Sanchez jersey, though.
I forget who the account was. I think it was a Boy Green or something on Twitter. Nice guy. He had a Brett Favre jersey. He had a Geno Smith jersey. He had a Mark Sanchez jersey. He had a Sam Darnold jersey.
What about Chad Pennington?
No, not in the video. And then he had a Zach Wilson jersey. And they were, what's the military music?
Taps?
Yes, thank you. I couldn't reference it off the top of my head. Playing that in the background, and he's taking all the jerseys out of his closet. It was very funny video.
Very sad. Now, the Broncos, they added Zach Wilson to the QB room, joining Jarrett Stidham in Denver. Now, Sean Payton's team is the 12th overall pick. Clearly need a quarterback. So, overreaction, proper reaction. The Broncos are the team with the most pressure to trade up.
So, the Broncos need a quarterback, but they don't have to get a quarterback this year. The Vikings just lost Kirk Cousins, and they have Justin Jefferson without a new contract, and they have Jordan Addison. That's a team that could still be very competitive next year if they get the right quarterback. I think the Vikings, and those teams are possibly moving up. I think that's the team with the most pressure on them. So the Broncos are the team with the most pressure to trade up. I will go overreaction.
Now, I might know your answer to this one since you kind of mentioned it before, but the Bills sit 24th in the draft, and as we know, Brandon Beane is known to be aggressive and moving up to grab guys he wants, Josh Allen included. As we know, Buffalo lost its top 2 receivers in Stephon Diggs and Gabe Davis, so overreaction, proper reaction, the Bills need to move up to draft a receiver.
Proper reaction, I think it's going to be Brian Thomas Jr. Now, if they stay there, that could be in Ladd McConkey range. And you have James Cook already in that backfield. Dalton Kincaid came on really strong at the end of the season. So they could still, in a deep wide receiver draft class, they could still get a really good wide receiver where they're picking. But I would be super aggressive and trade up to go get. I would be willing to give a future first to get into the top 10. And go get, like if Roma Dunze's still there at 8 or 9, or somehow he's there at 10, the Jets probably want to trade with the Bills, but I'm trading up to go get Roma Dunze. But if the big 3 are off the board and you want to maybe get someone at like 12 or 13, then yeah, Brian Thomas Jr. is the guy that I'd be targeting.
Now, we've talked a lot about the top 10. It's expected to be very offense heavy. However, many mock drafts don't have a single one of the top defensive players like Dallas Turner, Jared Verse, Laite Latu, or Quinyon Mitchell that we just talked about from Toledo in their top 10. So overreaction, proper reaction, the top 10 will not include a defensive player. It feels like there's only one spot that we could see a defensive player go.
First off, I'm going to say that's an overreaction. I think there's 3. Atlanta, Chicago. Here is one that people aren't talking about. Tennessee. If everyone thinks Joe Alt's going there, I think Joe Alt's going there. Joe Alt, though, big offensive lineman, Notre Dame. If a team like the Giants is sitting there at 6, and maybe all the quarterbacks are off the board, the 4 quarterbacks, maybe they end up taking a tackle, even though I'd rather want the Giants to take a wide receiver there. So potentially Tennessee could go defense, but I do think there will be a defensive player in the top 10, at most 2.
Now, those Giants are sitting at 6, and many believe they'll go quarterback, even if the top 4 quarterbacks in Caleb Williams, Jayden Daniels, Drake May, and J.J. McCarthy go before their pick. So overreaction, proper reaction, the Giants will draft a quarterback at 6, even if those 4 are off the board.
If those 4 are off the board, that's an overreaction. How I think this is going to play out is Williams will go 1, then Daniels will go 2. I think the Patriots are taking Drake May at 3. Cardinals will take Marvin Harrison Jr. at 4. That 5th spot, Chargers. I don't believe they're going to make a trade with either the Raiders or the Broncos. And I know Harbaugh's probably not thrilled with the Vikings after that interview process, but I think the Vikings are so desperate where Minnesota's going to move up to 5. They'll take J.J. McCarthy, and at that rate, the Giants at 6 probably take Malik Neighbors. So if those 4 are off the board, those quarterbacks, Daniels, McCarthy, Williams, and May, I think they pass on the quarterback. But if one of them do fall out of those 4, then they'll definitely take the quarterback at 6.
All right, now my 2-time defending champion Chiefs are obviously last in the first round.
You just say back-to-back champ. I know you're not used to that. Just say the back-to-back Super Bowl champion Kansas.
My future three-peat champion Chiefs are last in the first round because, of course, they won the Super Bowl. However, we've never actually fully replaced Tyreek Hill, and our top target, Rashee Rice, is in some, legal issues.
Yes.
So overreaction, proper reaction. I know we picked up Hollywood Brown, but he's more of a number 2, even when he's healthy. The Chiefs need to land a true number 1 wideout if they or we want to three-peat.
Oh, to three-peat? No. That's an overreaction. Should they draft a wide receiver in the first round, maybe even trade up? Yeah, absolutely. That could be Ladd McConkey range, Xavier Worthy out of Texas. They may have to move up to get him. But I would like to see them take a wide receiver. But the three-peat, no, they don't. You have Patrick Mahomes. That's what matters.
Now, Brock Bowers is viewed as a generational talent at tight end after his historic career at Georgia. However, the last few top 10 tight ends haven't exactly panned out. And Kyle Pitts back in 2021, T.J. Hawkinson, who's been good but not great in 2019, and Eric Ebron, who really did not pan out in 2014 out of UNC.
The Lions, right?
Yes. Overreaction, proper reaction. Bowers should not get picked in the top 10.
He should only get picked by the Jets. And the Jets are in the top 10 at number 10. And I don't think one of those 3 wide receivers will be there. So, yeah, I do think the Jets should go. The Jets should get sexy, right? You're all in with Rodgers the next year or 2. Go get him a nice tight end. So you say Bowers should not get picked in the top 10. I will go overreaction because the Jets should take him at 10.
All right, now last one. This is away from the draft, but it was big enough news that we can't avoid it. Former NFL MVP Matt Ryan, who joined us in Vegas for the Ice Bucket Challenge. That was fun to watch.
10-year anniversary.
Pour water all over your head. Officially announced his retirement from the NFL. Ryan finished 7th all-time in passing yards, 9th in touchdowns, 19th in QB rating, and 10th in wins. Overreaction, proper reaction. Matt Ryan is a Hall of Famer.
See, it's so tough to judge these quarterbacks because it's such a pass-heavy league now that all these stats are inflated. Like, as you said, he was 7th in passing yards, and then passing touchdowns, he was 9th. And he's won an MVP. Those stats say you should be a Hall of Famer. But did I ever watch Matt Ryan and say this is one of the greatest quarterbacks I've ever seen? No. I think he's a very good quarterback, and for me, there's a distinction, very good to great, for the Hall of Fame. If I had to make a baseball comp, he's kind of like Jimmy Rollins, where you always know he was very good at his position, right? One year he could be elite. Now, Jimmy won a World Series championship. Matt Ryan didn't win a Super Bowl. If Matt Ryan wins Super Bowl, he probably gets in. But when I think of Matt Ryan, unfortunately, and he's a very good quarterback. First thing I think of is choking 28-3 in the Super Bowl. So I think he's very, 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 very good. He's a nice guy. Maybe through time he gets in the Hall of Fame. That's just sometimes how the process works. But when it was announced the other day that he was walking away, did I think Hall of Fame? Like right away, when people say Hall of Fame, yes or no, my first instinct is no. He is not a Hall of Famer. So Matt Ryan is a Hall of Famer. I would go that is a overreaction. All right, little overreaction, proper reaction on the Infinity Sports Network. We'll come on back and we'll talk about Arch Manning with his massive spring game performance for Hook'em. I will not go horns down today because I don't want Brian Jones to hit us up on the hotline and then punch me in the face through the phone or have the Texas men's basketball coach start crying about that again. Latest update, here he is, the Act Man, Rich Ackerman.
Infinity Sports Network Sports Flash.
Well, the NBA playoffs continue tonight with Game 2 in 3 first-round series. The Bucks host the Pacers after a convincing win in Game 1. Damian Lillard led Milwaukee with 35 points in the 15-point victory. For the Pacers, Sunday was their first playoff game in 4 years. Miles Turner said it was a big learning experience for them.
When you're on the playoffs on the road, you have to come out with certain intensity, and a certain attention to detail, and that lacked a little bit in that first half. But I'm still very confident, with our group, soldiers that we have on our side. It's not a series, so the road team wins. So, we drop one, but we're still very confident in our abilities.
The Timberwolves built off their strong season with a series opening win over Phoenix and will host the Suns tonight in Game 2. The Clippers look to go up 2-0 on the Mavericks, taking the opener without Kawhi Leonard in the lineup. He remains questionable due to inflammation in his knee. 4 games in the Stanley Cup playoffs, starting with the Capitals and Rangers in New York, which took the series opener on home ice. The Phillies are still looking up at the Braves in the NL East despite a 7-game winning streak, and they look to extend their winning ways tonight in Game 2 of that series in Cincinnati. I'm Rich Acker.
This is the Infinity Sports Network. Follow us on X. Our handle is INF Sports Network. That's INF Sports Network on X.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. minute remaining. Five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Hey, this is Howie. And this is Nick. We're the Backstreet Boys, and you're listening to the Zach Gelb Show. And guess what? Zach is back. All right.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show.
Oh, my God, we're back again.
This is Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network, 855-212-4227, 855-212-4227. Let's go to Sorja in Massachusetts. Next up on the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network.
Zach, how you doing, my man?
Doing great. What do we got cooking?
Yeah, just had a quick question for you. This year's draft is really grinding my gears because, going into January, right, I feel like J.J. McCarthy wasn't even considered in the first round, and now people have him going top 15. So I just wonder if, as a scout, is it almost and a GM, is it almost harder now today to make a pick as opposed to 10, 15 years ago? Because I feel like you got a lot of these draft people who just love to make noise and just put so much garbaggio out there.
It's a good phone call. Appreciate it. I just think everyone has a platform now. And I think we need to remember social media doesn't reflect what these teams will actually do. And social media doesn't reflect our actual society. I kind of like the usage, though, of garbaggio. I've heard it as garbage. Him saying garbaggio, that was actually a pretty good job there.
I feel like I've heard garbaggio before.
I've heard garbage, not garbaggio.
Yeah.
That sounds like Italian garbage.
I can't tell if I'm convincing myself that I've heard it before, but I haven't. Or you know what I mean? It's like one of those words that you're like, I think I've heard that, but I don't know if I've heard that.
Garbage.
Definitely garbage.
Garbage.
But I feel like garbage, maybe because I lived in
sounds
Boston
like a
for
crappy
a while.
pizza topping, honestly. Give me some of that garbaggio.
Or a crappy pizza place. It's like, oh, yeah, where'd you get that slice? Oh, garbaggio's down there.
Yeah. Oh. If I'm in Massachusetts, I like to go to that place, Santarpio's. That place is good.
Sounds like garbaggio's.
No. Santarpio's is not garbaggio. That is not garbage, except the one time I did go there.
Except for that one time.
No. The line was so long. I was coming from Philadelphia. I was in college. And I was meeting my uncle, and then my uncle's mother and my uncle's brother and my cousin in Boston for the game. So I had to do a Temple football game. I flew out after the game, landed in Boston at Logan International. And I'm starving coming off the plane. So my uncle goes, let's go to Santarpio's. We'll get a pizza. So we order a large sausage pizza. And, what's the word here that I'm looking for? It was like a makeshift parking lot where, is it like that you're under a bridge, like a vessel? Would that be the right word? I don't know if that's the right word.
Vestibule?
No. I don't know. So there's there's obviously like a road and a bridge above it, and you have people just parking. It's not, though, their parking lot. And I guess we weren't in the best area of the world. So we are basically like tailgating, eating this pizza, like off like the hood of the car. The next thing you know, you hear pop, pop. And then after that, the sirens. Cop comes by. He goes, "Did you hear where those shots came from, those gunshots?" And my uncle's like, "Not really. Think that way." Now, my uncle's mother, a little bit older, concerned, right? She's like, "What did you say?" And he goes, "Oh, the officers wondered where the fireworks came from." We ate the pizza like it was someone that was really quick's 40 time, got in the car, then drove away. But Centarpio's did have really good pizza.
Well, hold on a second. You stayed?
No, we had to finish the pizza.
I'm hopping in the car and finishing the pizza elsewhere.
That's the difference between you and me.
I
got to eat the pizza. I got to eat the pizza when it's hot.
I mean, the Zach
I don't want no
Gelb
cold pizza. I don't want like that crappy ESPN show back in the day. I don't want no cold pizza.
Your obituary is going to read one day, Zach Gelb died by gunshot while eating pizza and would not flee when everyone else did.
Not going to lie. Not the gunshot part. But if I died eating a slice of pizza, not the end of the world.
If you had to die eating one slice of pizza, whose would it be?
Oh.
Is it Scarpaccio's or Carbaccio's?
No, it's not Centarpio's.
There you go, that one.
Carbaccio's. New Haven pizza's pretty good.
Well, hold on. Is there a place called New Haven's Pizza or just
No,
pizza?
New Haven, like you go to New Haven, Connecticut,
Right.
there's 1,000 spots.
So here's my question. I hear a lot about New Haven Pizza.
Elite.
Is it like, so Chicago pizza, Chicago deep dish is a style of pizza. Is New Haven pizza different, or is it just New Haven pizza has good pizza?
I would say the New Havens, first off, they have great pizza. Secondly, I think their style is, it's not, I'm going to say, it's a thin crust slice, but the slices are like, they're big slices. They're oven bricked, like well done pizzas.
So it's not like New York pizza where you fold it. It's like a completely different style of pizza, or is it the same, just better?
It's not as,
because I'm curious.
It's not
if
as
it's a
girthy
style.
as the New York slice.
Oh, girthy.
Yeah, it's not as girthy as the New York slice.
Yeah, I only hear girth in one other way. So I don't know.
Well, you've never been told that, I'm sure.
I'm hearing flashbacks right now.
But I'm saying it's thin crust, but it's not the thin crust that you think, because it's not an enormous slice, but it's not like a little slice.
Well, I'm moving to Stamford, Connecticut. I'm about an hour from New Haven, so I cannot wait to try the New Haven pizza.
Yeah. My mother just texted me, Eddie's Pizza in New Hyde Park. I've never been. Thanks for taking me as a kid. Wonderful.
I think I would be going with Joe's. Joe's on Carmine. Love Joe's on Carmine.
Joe, John.
Love Joe's.
Joe's is okay.
I've tried all the other ones
touristy.
around here that everyone talks about. They're fine. Joe's, there's a special place in my heart for them.
All right, anyway. A lot of people are talking about Arch Manning. Eli Manning made it clear.
That guy.
Eli Manning made it clear at the Super Bowl with us that Arch is fine being patient, and he's not going to transfer out of Texas. Arch Manning lit it up. He lit it up in the spring game. 19 of 25, 355 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Now, there's 2 pieces of analysis here. 1, Texas secondary, no bueno. 2, Arch Manning looking like he's worth the hype. Now, it's a spring game. I don't like to get too excited for a spring game. Quinn Ewers, though, the last 2 years has played really well, has gotten hurt. He will be the starter. But I wonder if there's a point in the season where Quinn Ewers has got hurt the last 2 years, or he's not playing great. Now, Arch is the number 2. Last year, Malik Murphy, who's now at Duke, he was standing in between the way, and we knew going into the year Malik Murphy was too. If Quinn Ewers isn't back on his A game, I think that hype around Arch Manning, man, it's going to go through the roof. And he was just casually walking out of the spring game, by the way. When the game ended, just casually walking. People taking selfies with him. And it didn't look like a zoo. But what you watched, he threw a 75-yard touchdown pass. Bomb. I can't wait to watch Arch Manning. I actually hate to say this. I kind of wish he did transfer. Because selfishly, I want to watch him play this year. When we've heard so much about him, I want to watch him play this year. And by design, he's probably not going to be the starter this year. Unless poor play or an injury. But Quinn Ewers deserves to be the starter next year. He deserves it this year. Anyway, that concludes the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. We'll be back tomorrow. Dallas Turner, good to stop by. Brian Thomas Jr. as well. 2 guys that are both expected to go in the first 15 to 20 picks of the draft. Big thanks to Dan Mullen for joining us today. Jason Candle as well. Big thanks to everyone for calling, listening, and tweeting. Big thanks to Stu, Samter, and once again, each and every one of you. Talk to you, manana, everybody. We out. Bye-bye. Peace.